What the deal is you get a free display if you order 60 copies across 6 different eligible titles. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, that's great. It's 60 titles. There's 6 pockets. The display only holds 36 books. So you have to buy 60 books for a display that can only hold 36 of them. What, DC Comics, am I supposed to do with the other 24 books other than shove them up my own?
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting. So come and join the conversation. Eisner approved, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Del Bush.
Dal.
Del.
W. Dal Bush.
It's not like this snuck up on us, which it didn't. I mean, it probably snuck up on you, but it didn't sneak up on me. I just really didn't do anything special for this. And this isn't even like Marvel math or fitting something in to make it a special number. But just because it's a round number or like a 25 or a 50, does it have to be celebrated as a special occasion?
I literally don't know what you're talking about.
Welcome, everyone, including Dal, to episode 700 of Contest of Challengers.
Wow. That's a big deal.
Not big enough to do anything special for it.
No.
I thought for a while, and I spent way too much time doing what I thought was a very fun intro to episode 666.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume people liked it. I have to assume because no one said anything about it.
They must have loved it then.
They must have. So I thought, what can we do for 700? And then I thought, I don't care.
Yep. You just reach a level where it's just like, let's get an episode done.
Yeah.
Let's do that for 700.
Yeah, I got to be honest.
And then I'm going to eat dinner. That's what's going to happen for 700.
So many ideas. I'm like, what if we did this on the podcast? And then I thought, wait, you have to do it. You used to be the one to do all that.
Mm-hmm. So maybe don't.
Oh no, we never have.
No,
I mean,
I'm just saying.
Yeah. And we literally had somebody in today who, oh wait, no, never mind. They were visiting from out of town, and they came in specifically because they heard me on the podcast.
David
Off panel.
Harper's?
Yep,
Okay.
David Harper's. Off panel.
It's usually the one.
I'm like, well, that's great. And like, I haven't been on since January.
Wow.
So I'm like, all right, I keep hitting my microphone. Sorry, everybody. I'm like, where are you from? Philadelphia. I'm like, okay. The game I always play is I try to guess where people shop from where they live. I'm like, I cannot remember the name of the store.
Neighborhood Comics, one of them?
It's, I don't know. It's a guy named Joe who I know worked there. He doesn't work there anymore. And then after they left, I'm like, oh, right, Joe Turner. His name was Joe Turner. And they're like, oh, yeah, the one on 8th Street? Like, I don't know where it is.
Sure.
All I know is Joe. And they're like, well, my shop is at Atomic City. Yes. Joe Turner from Atomic City Comics. He's like, yeah, that's the one.
That's the one.
I'm like, all right, I'm giving myself half a point for that.
I think it's still pretty good.
Because it was the store I was thinking of. I just couldn't remember the name,
Mm-hmm.
which is customarily what I do with everything nowadays.
Yep.
Forget everything, everybody's names.
You're getting older, Patrick.
Definitely am. But I mean, there's new Richie Kotzen music out all the time that I have to remember the lyrics
Make
from.
space in your brain for.
Things have to get
Sure.
pushed out. Just today, I found out there was a new Dead Daisy album on the way. House of Lords. You know what I hate? I hate when a band drops a single. You're like, it's just a single?
Sure.
So you add that to your Apple Music.
Right.
Then you put it in the proper playlists.
Okay.
And then 3 weeks later, they announce a new album of which that song is a single on.
Sure.
So you have to add that album to your music.
Yep.
Delete the single because there's nothing extra, nothing special. and then put this new album in all the proper playlists for when
Yeah.
it comes out.
So much extra work.
It's like, you could have you knew this album was coming.
Too many releases.
I'm telling you. So anyway, I give myself half a point for Atomic City Comics
Pretty good.
because that's the one I was thinking of. And to be fair, it's not as if I'm like, oh, well, based on their accent and the comics they like, it must be Atomic. No, Atomic City is the only store I can remember from Philadelphia, which is why I don't even know if Neighborhood Comics.
You were playing the odds.
But the odds were in my favor
They were this time.
this one time.
Mhm.
This one time in 700 episodes. Not only 700 episodes, Dow,
Mhm.
but as you were, of course, patently aware of,
Mhm.
leading up to it, on the day of, and after it, I just celebrated my 34th year as a full-time comic book retailer.
Congratulations, Patrick.
Yeah, thanks. It was a very different time. The year was 1990.
That is how the math works out. Yes.
I was a fresh-faced 22-year-old, just graduated college.
Mhm.
Was 2 weeks out of school
Mhm.
because I graduated over the summer semester.
Oh, okay.
I stayed an extra semester in school.
Wow. I can't imagine how disappointing that must feel.
I know.
To do more schooling than you were scheduled for.
Right? Now, I know that you're joking in reference to yourself,
Mhm.
but did you really do more schooling? Because you didn't do a whole lot of schooling when you were in it?
I went to more days of school.
Okay,
I
that's
didn't
fair.
necessarily apply myself more or have more classes necessarily, but I had to go more days.
That's fair. And honestly, if you add up the days you went total,
Uh-huh.
it's only a little bit more because you missed a lot.
It's true.
I mean, in my favor, to be fair.
I guess, yeah.
I used to call Dal out of school to come work at the comic shop.
Once upon a time, people showed some dedication to their jobs,
That's right.
even when they didn't own the store.
Sure. And then I got an award for it.
You did.
And then
If only they knew.
I closed the store for an hour or an hour plus to go to an award ceremony. And I hadn't told
A
anybody.
banquet even, an awards banquet.
Yeah.
Afternoon awards banquet.
Where's that award now? I have no idea. I literally have no idea. Anyway, it's been 34 years, and someone had suggested, I think it was Elliot Serrano, that there needs to be a party next year for 35.
Mhm.
But that goes back into our, just because it's a 5, that means it's a celebration.
Sure.
And there are store or industry-centric milestones twice a year for me.
Mhm.
And that is the anniversary of Challenger's opening on March 31st.
Mhm.
And then August 27th, which is my retail anniversary.
Sure.
Next year, later in the year, there's a third,
Ooh.
but that's too many. So
It's okay if it's for 1 year.
So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to downplay the 35th anniversary
Mhm.
and upplay the other one, because the retail anniversary and the store anniversary, they go up every year.
Yes, it's true.
This other milestone for next late October of next year, provided I make it, is a one-time only milestone.
Yeah,
So we'll focus on that more.
sure.
And part of me thought, like, do I do something for that? Well, it's October 24th. It's right before Halloween. And you don't throw a non-Halloween party
Probably
at
not.
the end of October.
Probably not. But I mean, you could
Yeah.
get together with a group of people. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be like a huge open invite party. You can get a dozen or so of your
I don't
closest
know any
folks.
other way. Invite the world and then only focus on who didn't show.
There you go.
Well, because it's our milestone, I'm going to use that word a lot,
Wow.
700th episode.
Mhm.
Too many THs there. 700th episode. I think it's only fitting that we really showcase what the previous 699 episodes have been
Uh-huh.
and focus on the content that has, I guess, filled the majority of those over 700 hours at this point,
Oh my gosh, you're
because
right.
there's so many longer episodes,
True.
and start airing some grievances.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, not each other.
Oh, okay. That's
just,
fine too.
Just about, oh, do you have some?
I don't have anything in particular, but
All
I'm certainly used to receiving them,
From
just in general.
okay. So the only notes I actually have for this episode are minor annoyances.
Okay.
That things that could make our quality of life a little bit better,
Okay.
but things that I just
Like Lunar ever shipping our comics out.
that's not their fault. They never promised that. Don't worry, we'll get to that.
Uh-huh.
We'll get to that. One of the things that I see a lot at Challengers, and it's not from subscribers, it's not from regulars, it's from random people who don't seem like they know what a comic store is supposed to be or don't come in regularly.
Mhm.
And it is the going up to the Challenger's Choice dump on the counter right by, I'm going to use the word register. We don't have a register anymore, but the
Sure.
cash wrap.
Where you would check out. Yeah.
Go up to the checkout area where you have the Challenger's Choice, picking up the book of the week. This week it's Aliens versus Avengers,
Mhm.
and saying
Our second Jonathan Hickman Challenger's Choice in a row.
in a row, and his third book in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Picking up the Challenger's Choice and saying, "Is this free?"
Mhm.
It's not free.
Nope.
Has a price on it. It's right at the cash station.
Just because we have it at the checkout. Like, do you think all the gum at a grocery store is free? It's right there at checkout, right? This is just free.
And we do have a metal rack by the front. Wait, no, what is it?
Acrylic.
Oh man, I was remembering the old angled metal mesh
Mhm.
pyramid type thing that used to have things on it.
That we had to get rid of because thieves pushed it over
Yeah.
in anger
Yes.
when we wouldn't let them thieve.
Yes. Exactly that. You were being racist for not letting them thieve.
Yes.
No, they're just piled on top of the fridge.
Yeah.
We have
Now it's on a Coke cooler.
Yeah. Somebody called about the cooler like 2 weeks ago, but they just left a message at somebody else.
No.
I'm like, they just want us to place an order, I think. I hope that cooler's ours. They're not getting it back.
Nope.
We earned that fair and square. So, like, we do have free stuff there, but it's business cards, bookmarks, flyers, things like that.
Yeah, there's no comic books there.
But we do have free comic books or catalogs on the new release wall almost every single week.
Sure.
This week there's 4 different things to choose from.
Oh my gosh, is there ever?
And then we'll have like the Zdarsky comic news or something else on the counter. So it's not uncommon for there to be a free giveaway thing on the other counter, but never right at the register.
Nope.
I don't understand why so many people think it's right at the register.
Yeah, I have no idea. Usually the people who ask that, they're asking for whatever free stuff they can get. So everything they point at is like, is this free? Is this free? Do you have any free of these? Are these what's the cheapest of these? Are these for free? And so it's a lot of just pointing at everything. Like, which of these can you give me? Can I walk out of without having to pay for? So it just happens to be the front counter thing as well.
Picking up a thing with a price tag on it. My goodness.
Yeah. It's usually just not looking at it. It's not even, they don't even care what it is. It's just, is this free and can I take it?
We got an email today from the aforementioned David Harper.
Mm-hmm. Very nice of him.
And he had gotten our weekly email, our Wednesday night written, Thursday morning new release email, the email that says what we have coming in for the next week.
Mm-hmm.
And he just said how much he likes getting those because his shop doesn't do it.
Sure.
And I wanted to reach out to other shops via Comics Pro and be like, hey, who else has a weekly email? What do you do for it? Like, I get some,
Sure.
but I want to see everybody's emails, right?
Yeah. What do you put in it? When does it go out? What do you ever hear back from people? That kind of stuff.
And we send a lot of emails.
I don't think we send a lot, but I feel like we send more than most comic shops.
We don't send as many by a quarter as the Democratic National Committee does, or the
I can't tell you how many shops,
Harris Walls
not
Fund
comic
does
shops, but
every week.
just shops, places I've shopped with online or in person that I've needed to unsubscribe from, not because I'm not interested in their products, but simply because they sent me so many goddamn emails every single day that I had to cut them off. I just thought, look, I'm interested in your sales. I'm interested in the products you offer. I will reach out to you in the future when I want stuff because I cannot deal with multiple times a day emails. Express, I'm just going to say, it was Express. Like, I cannot believe how many emails Express would send out. No, like, not even in conjunction with a huge store-wide sale or something. I'm not saying, like, for Labor Day or for Christmas, they sent out, like, a ton of emails. I mean, just on, like, a Tuesday in May, they would just send out 3 emails. And it's like, nothing is worth this in my life. It's worth 3 emails in a day. Certainly not a clothing store I shop at, maybe twice a year.
I don't know how I'm on both the distillery retailer list and consumer list, but they sent out multiple emails today to announce their new title, which I've forgotten the name of already because I forget names.
Sure.
But also it's not any creators that stuck in my head.
Yeah, they explained it because they included the 2 credits for the writer, Nostalgia and WAG, which made both of us go, what is that? Are those comic books? I've never heard of those.
Yeah, you thought they were Hollywood properties.
I'm like, I don't know what this is. And then it was like, oh, it's someone who is in the band The Scissor Sisters.
Oh, okay.
So like Nostalgia or WAG might have been like books they've written or podcasts or movies or like, I don't even think albums because they would have, like, they're one of the members of the group. So it wouldn't even be their albums. Like it wouldn't be under their name. So it's just like, you're just someone who hasn't done comics before. He's a comics fan. That's fine. Like I don't need credits at that point.
Well,
I've forgotten. Credits are irrelevant.
I'd forgotten about that email yesterday. There were 2 of them today.
Nostalgia and WAG
for the same property. Mm-hmm. And I fully admit that I think one of the things I wish people could do, or that we could do for people, but it is more detail than Shopify lets us get into. Because we use Shopify's email format or program or section, whatever you want to call it, add-on. It's a plugin.
It's a function. I mean, it's just a function of the platform.
To send our emails, and everybody knows this, but I'll reiterate again just in case. Maybe you have some extra ears for 700. Who knows? Every Tuesday night, if you are a subscriber who has new product coming in that you've signed up for, the next day, Wednesday, new release day, you'll get an email that says, here is what you're getting this week.
Here's what will be in the store when it opens 11 a.m. on Wednesday.
If you're getting 1 book, you get 1 book. If you're getting 5 titles, it's a list of 5 titles. If it's just a special order for an action figure you asked for, you get that. If you are not a subscriber, you will never get those emails. If you are a subscriber but don't have anything for that week, let's say you just subscribe to Saga, that only comes out 6 times a year, you're only getting 6 emails. You're not getting an email unless you have a book coming.
On Tuesday nights.
Yeah. Well, the book comes out Wednesday, you get the email Tuesday night. Thursdays at noon, you'll get an email that details what we're getting the following new release Wednesday. It'll have a breakdown of some of the new number 1s with sections of the cover and then a solicitation copy to explain what the book is. It may be edited, it may be verbatim, it may be a loose interpretation, it may be fed through an AI sometimes if I think it's too long.
Sure.
But we'll call out 4 to 12 books, more and more it's going to the higher point of 12, that are coming out. Then we break it down by category, graphic novels, all ages books, sidekicks books, manga, new number 1s, which I've now bumped to the higher part of the list because I think that there's more interest in those.
Sure.
Then Marvel, DC, Image, everybody else, merchandise.
Sure.
And that is your Thursday email. Friday mornings at 10:30, you get an email telling you about the books whose orders are about to close. A handful of books, like 6 to 8 books that we want to make sure you don't miss out on, but the orders for those books will be closing that weekend, or I guess Monday.
Yeah.
So you have that weekend to go through the lists to see what orders are closing to make sure you're signed up for what you wanted to get. And for the most part, it's, like I said, up to 8 books that we want to highlight or that we are highlighting, and then links to the regular FOC page on Managed Comics so you can go through it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So we're up to a possible Tuesday night one,
mm-hmm.
a Wednesday, I keep saying Wednesday because I write it Wednesday, a Thursday and a Friday. Thursday emails go to anybody who's signed up to our email list.
Mm-hmm.
Friday emails go to subscribers.
Correct.
That means anybody who gets at least one book from us.
Mm-hmm.
And then once a month, you'll get a new catalog email which says, hey, the new catalogs have come out for all the distributors, for Diamond, for Lunar, for PRH.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the new product that's coming out in 2 months that we're excited for. Again, we'll highlight certain books from some companies
yep.
with a photo of the cover and a description, and then a link to the new catalog page
mm-hmm.
on Managed Comics.
Yeah.
On our subscriptions page.
Yep.
Every time we say on Managed Comics, what I mean is challengerscomics.com/subscriptions, which is
Our Managed
populated by
Comics
Managed
portal
Comics.
on Challengers Comics.
And you only get that email if you're a subscriber.
Correct.
If you have at least one book that you're being pulled,
mm-hmm.
One pre-order.
I think if you're just an active subscriber, so you have to have something on your account, either recurring or coming up in the future.
So it is possible that you get 4 emails from us in 1 week. But if that happens, it's A, only 1 week out of the month,
mm-hmm.
and B, it's also possible you only get 2 a week.
Correct.
Now, I know some people think that's too many. I completely understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the information we're sending is viable and worthwhile, and we wouldn't spend so much time writing these emails, formatting these emails, if we didn't think they were valuable.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is that we want to make sure that if you're getting 4 emails in a week, none of it is redundant information. They're all doing different things. They're all giving you different pieces of information that you might need to get the most out of your subscription at Challengers or to be aware of purchases you might be making in the future. I would always feel bad if it was, if we sent a Tuesday email that was like, hey, here's all the new books coming out, and Wednesday was like, hey, we don't want you to forget, here's all the new books coming out. Like, that's just a pain in the ass. Like, that's redundant information. That's just spamming people. And I understand the reason why companies do that. Certainly the idea that we sometimes have to tell people the same thing 3 or 4 times over a month because maybe one time they'll pay attention to it is, why you have to consistently repeat that information. But I would feel bad. Like if I was getting emails from a company and it was just the same email formatted differently multiple days in a row, I would be done with them. I would unsubscribe.
And there was a point where our Thursday new release email had too much information. And we were told by a social media manager to cut out a lot of that stuff and separate the 2 emails, to have each email have a separate function.
Right.
So the one functionality I wish that Shopify had that people could use
mm-hmm.
is if you wanted to unsubscribe to one component,
right?
Like if you only wanted the new release email or you wanted to not get the new release email, you could check a box and still get the other emails. You can't. It's all or nothing.
Yeah, and I think if we did a lot more newsletters, it would be something that I would want to have. Like if we were sending out specifically, like, here's a manga newsletter every week. Here's a new comics email every week.
Sure.
Here's a card game email every week. Then yeah, I would want a lot more discretion over like, these are the things I'm only interested in. But it's like, we can't not send out the Managed Comics subscription arrival email because you can't unsubscribe to that. Like, why would I not want you to know that you got product in? I need you to know that so you can come in and buy it. I would never want you to say, please don't tell me about that. I don't want to know. Like, then we're going to have a problem because in a month, you're not going to know anything came in for you. And I'm going to be contacting you saying, please come buy your stuff. And I would like to avoid that by giving you weekly updates, letting you know when things are in.
That is Dal foreshadowing a topic that is going to come up in a little bit.
Maybe, I don't know. And then, the Thursday email, you can unsubscribe to that and you'll still get the Managed Comics Tuesday night email. They're different. They come out from different platforms, so you're not unsubscribing from that. Although I would not want people to unsubscribe if they're shopping at Challengers from the Thursday email, because that's where we put sale announcements. That's where we put signing announcements. That's where we put updates about operating hours or anything that's going to impact someone's ability to shop at Challengers. So not getting that email means that you could show up to a day and it's like, hey, we told everybody we were closed for renovations, or we told everybody that books were not arriving this week because of the truck problem, or we told everybody that things were going to be on sale yesterday and you didn't come in, so they're not on sale anymore. That's the sort of stuff that we desperately want people to know, and I don't want people saying, I would rather not hear about that. Like, again, at that point, that is a different problem. So yeah, if we did significantly more emails on much more narrow bands of information, then I would want to do it where you could just flag different interests and get those. But I don't think we do that much, and I don't think the stuff that we're doing is stuff where I can't imagine why you wouldn't want to know about just one portion of it.
Well, this leads into my next bit of wishing customers did things differently.
Okay.
The number of times we get the same people who call up and say, hi, this is so-and-so. Do I have anything in my box?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get an email on Tuesday? Then you have something in your box.
Mm-hmm.
Did you not get an email? Then you don't. I can understand thinking like, oh, I didn't. If you didn't get one and you think you have something, fine. I mean, you could always log into your account.
And that's the part I would want to harp on, is that because we have the Managed Comics portal on our website, you can, at any hour of the day, check your account and find out everything you have waiting for you, not just what came in this past week. You don't have to rely on a Tuesday night email to see what new stuff came in. And then if you haven't been in a few weeks, look at the last couple weeks of emails. You just go to your Managed Comics account on challengerscomics.com, and it will tell you everything that you have not picked up yet. Like, that functionality, if I was a customer, I'd be using that all the time. I would check that. I wouldn't even wait for an email Tuesday night. I would just be checking that. Because here's the other thing. As we receive stuff, it goes on your account. So while we send out an email Tuesday night saying, hey, here's everything that you can come pick up Wednesday morning, we're receiving that stuff Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So you can check through.
You can get a sneak peek
through the first 3 days and be like,
oh,
oh, here's all the Marvel comics I'm getting in. Oh, here's all the DC stuff I'm getting in. And then Tuesday night, it's like, here's everything I'm getting in. Plus, again, if you only come in every 2, 3, 4 weeks, you can absolutely just look at that, see how much stuff's waiting for you, and decide if you want to come in and get it or not. Or if you want to wait for another week to let more stuff pile up. Ugh, it's so frustrating to have all this stuff that we work on, that we pay money for, that Brian and the team at Managed Comics work so hard on, and yet to have people just be like, oh, I'm not going to use any of that. Like, it is demoralizing at times.
It's fine if you don't want to use it, but then don't try to make us do extra work because you don't want to use it.
Right. I'm not saying it's disappointing that people aren't taking advantage of it. I'm saying that people are saying, well, I could do that for myself, but I'll just call and make you do it
Why
for me.
Why don't you do it?
Like, yeah, we gave you the tools to do it yourself on your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, anywhere you want, at any hour of the day. And instead I have to stop what I'm doing at the store to answer a question that you could easily have done for yourself.
I'll be honest, that type of functionality is what I want from any business I deal with. I want to be able to go in and see at any point.
I order
like that.
A lot of Japanese action figures based on the Kamen Rider franchise.
First time hearing about any of this.
And one of the places I use is a place called Hobby Genki. And Hobby Genki is great because they use a thing called My Private Warehouse, which a lot of different overseas toy vendors will use because they understand that shipping is sometimes a very large cost for getting these toys to other countries. So instead of individually packaging up a single figure and shipping it out for, a lot of money, they will allow you as a customer to have everything saved and then pick a point in the future where you say, okay, now ship it out. So instead of, if you're getting in 2 figures a month, you don't have to get 2 figures shipped out in a box. You can wait 3 months and be like, okay, now ship all 6 out, and now I'm paying less per figure to get them shipped out. And it's more economical for me. The thing that I hate about Hobby Genki is that you cannot look at the list of everything you currently have waiting for you, because each individual thing you order is an individual invoice, and they will mark the invoice as being in your private warehouse, but you're just looking at a list of invoices. So you have to constantly open each one and be like, okay, these 2 things came in. Okay, now let me scroll up. Okay, these 2 things came in. So I have to keep a separate spreadsheet of everything I've ordered from Hobby Genki, as well as the month I'm expecting it in. And then as I get notification emails that it's arrived and in my private warehouse, I make a notation of that it's in my private warehouse on my own Google Sheet, so that I can look at that and go, okay, now enough stuff has come in and I'll get it shipped out.
It's
like
funny.
Their site, which makes way more money than our store does, hopefully, is not as advanced as our site is as far as the ability to track what subscriptions are coming for you. And I think that's neat.
I have a similar thing with one of my ridiculous buying habit, quote unquote, hobbies, is I will buy, and most people know this, 1 figure of every wrestler from AEW that Jazzwares puts out.
As long as they wrestled on the main roster.
Yes, even when it's a figure of a wrestler I don't care about, like, let's say, Kyle O'Reilly. I will buy a Kyle O'Reilly figure because he's an AEW wrestler and they made a figure of him. Now, if they do 6 different Kyle O'Reillys with different trunks or different facial expressions, I don't care. I just get 1.
Right. You may upgrade at some point.
I mean,
where if someone's changed their gear so substantially or their look so substantially,
sure,
you'll be like, I need a different Hangman.
Well, okay, so Hangman and Kenny are separate occurrences because I have multiples of each of those because I like those guys more.
Sure.
But I will, like, when somebody changes a gimmick, I'm not going to get the new figure if I don't care enough about them. Like, I did order the black and white Timeless Tony Storm one, because why not? Timeless Tony Storm is a very fun character.
Yeah, and a much different visual presentation than any of the previous Tony Storm figures.
But, like, I'm not buying the Succession Young Bucks versus... I did upgrade my Young Bucks because I kind of hated the white outfits they came out with first.
Yeah, the first figures.
But I bought those first because those were the first official 6-inch Young Bucks figures, not counting the Mego style ones that they did years ago. So I'll get 1 of everybody, but I use Ringside Collectibles to get those figures mostly. However, Ringside Collectibles will send you an email saying, hey, Unmatched Series 10 is available for pre-order. Great, I'll go in and order. And then they'll send you an email saying, hey, we now have full photos of Unmatched Series 10, because usually it's just a 3D mock-up of what the figures are going to look like.
Sure, the renders, yeah.
And then they'll be like, hey, we've got them in store in case you want to buy them, which lets you know, oh, yours are being shipped out.
Sure.
So they do give you multiple emails per wave, but sometimes they're worded ambiguously enough that I would mistakenly buy them again, not knowing I'd already ordered them.
Yeah.
So I have to keep my own spreadsheet of whom I have ordered and whom has come in to make sure I do not buy doubles. And I recently had to do the same thing with all of my vinyl, because I had an incomplete spreadsheet I'd carry on my phone when I was record shopping. And I say incomplete because a couple of times I have bought something I already owned because I hadn't updated my list. Now my vinyl list is incredibly thorough, including dates, release dates, not dates I bought things. And my AEW spreadsheet is also accurate.
Yep.
But I do have to have those separate things. Ringside Collectibles will let you click on the same thing like Hobby Genki. It'll say, hey, here's all your previous orders, but it's just the invoice number, and you got to click it to see who it was.
Another site that I'll order from is Tokulectables, and they are also impossible to look at your pre-orders because they're individual invoice line items. So, and they'll have a little thing like shipped or billed or some modifier to let you know, like, where in the process are you? Like, did you pay for this yet? Did you pay for it, but it didn't ship out yet? Did you not pay for it and it hasn't shipped out yet? Did you pay for it and it shipped out and you got it? Like, all these different things, but nothing on the list of them is like, what is it? like there might be a dollar amount. So it's like, okay, this I think was a figure, but this was a DX toy or this was a CSM belt or whatever. So you have to click on each one to figure out what of this is outstanding. Like what is something that they got, but they haven't. Sometimes there's even a little weird modifier of like, they got it, but they're still packaging it, so it hasn't shipped out yet. So it will come out in a few days or whatever. But that's on the spreadsheet. I have to have different like lines for different. I might deal with a few different services to get stuff, so I need to understand like where did I pre-order this at? Because they might have added to like 5 different stores, but I pre-ordered this one from Hobby Genki, but not from like Tokollectibles or P Bandai, or there's a new store that had gotten some stuff that other stores had sold out of. So I was like, okay, I'll use them for like a backup. And all of this stuff is like super complicated. And yet our site, man, the Managed Comics portal and Challengers Comics, you just go into it and it's like, here's a tab of all your subscriptions. Here's a tab of all your pre-orders. Here's a tab of all of your inactive titles. Here's a tab of all of the things that you have in right now that you have not bought yet. And you can do all that. And I think that's incredibly cool. And again, something we spend so much time and money and effort on, and yet people don't use it, and it bothers me.
Okay, so first of all, you kept going for a while there. So did you say you buy Japanese import Degeneration X toys?
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
I do.
Second of all,
they're the only ones still making it.
the list of places you order from is quite long. I had Ringside Collectibles. You had like 6.
All right. So
No, it's okay. But the question I have for all of this,
things with a strike through means they've arrived someplace, but I haven't gotten them yet. As soon as I get them, I delete them off of that.
okay.
But that's like, here's the stores, here's the
Wait,
scheduled
what's
release
the
months.
strike through?
Strike through means it's arrived someplace, but I haven't
But
gotten
not
it
to
yet.
you. Okay.
Yes. So basically, like the Hobby Genki stuff with a strike through means it is in their warehouse. Some of this stuff I've gotten shipped out. Some of it I have not gotten shipped out yet. But like this goes through February of next year because of how much weird stuff comes out in weird orders. But I got Hobby Genki, Tokollectibles, Big Bad Toy Store, Diamond, P Bandai, Yoyaku Now. Yeah, it just keeps going.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. This is what it's like to be a fan of a thing that only exists in another country.
Yet has so many things available. So here's my question about our website from a customer point of view, from a thing we were literally just talking about.
Mhm.
How accessible is it for customers to look up previously purchased items?
Super easy. One of the neat things about Shopify is like Shopify is storing information and Managed Comics is storing information.
Yes.
Managed Comics isn't necessarily like I'll go to our website right
Managed
now.
Comics doesn't show you what you've purchased. It
Right,
shows
because you didn't buy it through Managed Comics, you bought
Yeah.
it through a Shopify platform.
and if it's a series that you subscribe to that is over, it'll be in your inactive tab.
Yeah, but again, that's your subscriptions versus your purchases. They're two different things.
Well, sure, but once something is inactive, it assumes that you bought it.
Well, I just mean just in the sense of am I logged in? I don't know if I'm logged in.
So often, Dal and I interact more with the backside
Okay, so
of the Managed Comics program, not the customer-facing side. But right now, he's logged into his own personal customer-facing
Yeah.
Managed Comics account.
like so I go to the Managed Comics portal, the My Subscriptions tab, which is like the first tab. It's
Yes.
not the landing page, but it's the first tab you can click on. So I've got my different subscriptions and pre-orders and stuff that haven't come out yet. So from here, I don't usually do this on my phone is the problem.
Yes, but you know that more than half the people that interact with this stuff does it on their phone.
I do. I'm aware of that.
I do nothing on my phone as far as
Yeah, I
these
really
things
don't.
go. I do everything on a desktop. Molly learned today that you can't add sections to an email that you're building on a website you've accessed from the iPad.
Okay, so on the phone, there might be another way to do it on the main menu, but I don't think so. So I just scroll down to the bottom under store info, my account.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to click on that. Under my account, there's an order history of your online and in-store purchases. Anything that was rung up under your account, which if you're a subscriber, everything you buy is under your account.
Yeah.
you can find on the My Account tab. Under order history, here's the order number, date. You can click on the order number, and it'll take you to a receipt, essentially.
To that transaction.
Here's what you bought. Here's what you paid.
Okay, but it's still clicking on an invoice number.
Right.
Like what you were
there
talking about.
There won't be an entire list of everything you've ever bought just on one page, but you can easily find stuff as long as you remember what date you bought it on.
Now, it's searchable for us, but is it searchable for them?
No.
Like if they wanted to say, did I buy Wolverine Revenge #1?
No, you would have to click on the individual invoice to find out.
Sure.
That is the
Which
thing. Which
I think that's understandable. Like I think that the functionality of being able to plug in to search for a title based off of a database that's only your purchases seems like it is way too much of a data collection.
Yeah, I mean, there might be a plugin that we could pay a bunch of money for, but I'll be honest, I don't think enough people have asked us to do that I think it's going to be valuable to do that.
And when somebody comes into the store and says, can you tell me if I bought that? We can go search for it.
I just love this. I go to my subscriptions, I hit a little tab in the middle that says pulled orders, and it's like, oh, here's the Transformers figure that came in for me that I haven't bought yet. And like it'll tell you like here's the title, here's how many it is, here's the cost.
Where is that figure?
Let's say still at the store. And then here's the date it came in at. And I just think that's. I'll keep saying it. I just think it's cool. I think it's cool to have this accessibility, to be able to manage your subscriptions like that, because managing your subscriptions can be so difficult. It has been so difficult in the past. There's been a lot of invisible work to it, where you would go to a store, say, I want these things from this catalog, and then maybe they would show up, or maybe they wouldn't, or maybe you asked for it, or maybe you didn't. And all of this now is at your fingertips, literally, because 66% of people interact with our website on their phone. Like, you can just hit the My Subscriptions tab and go, oh, yes, I did order Absolute Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Gerads, and oh, according to this, it's scheduled to come in November 12th. Like, great. So I have an idea of when that's coming in. It is frustrating sometimes when we have all this stuff available and yet people willingly opt out of it when it's still information they want.
I mean, I think that it is one of the benefits of Challengers is how customer-facing interaction works with the subscription service, with the emails, with all the information. And I always say this, you disagree with this sometimes, but I say that if somebody comes in and we don't have the product they want, we can at least give them the information about it.
Right.
Like if we can order it, when we can get it, what it is. If we don't carry it or can't get, like if it's out of print, we'll give them that information and be like, look, we can't get you the book. Sure. We can tell you why.
Yeah, and I've done that for plenty of times for people when it's something that we can get and they're like, oh, I'm in from out of town. I'm like, well, go to your local store. They can reorder this.
You and I both use that a lot. And I think that a lot of stores don't necessarily give that information. They'll just be like, no, I'm sorry, we don't have that. Mm-hmm. And occasionally we'll say that as well.
Sometimes I will get upset at people who work at Challengers because sometimes someone will ask for something and they'll just put it down in the special order book and it's like, did you check and see if we can get it? Did you check and see if it was in stock?
It is harder to do now because it's who has this manga?
Sure.
Where do we look first?
Yeah.
How do we know?
Right.
And also,
I think it's always worth the time.
I would disagree with that depending on the size of the line you have and if you're by yourself.
I mean, if I'm by myself and there's a line of like 4 people, I can probably say like, hey, if you want to hold on a second, I will check for you. And if someone wants that information, they're like, okay, I'm okay chilling out for 4 minutes while you get through the line. Or if they're like, I gotta go and I don't want it that badly, like then it's fine. Then they've decided they would rather not know and I won't waste my time. And especially if you have 2 people, it's like, well, then you definitely have time to have somebody like hop on the computer and check.
We had someone today who has been shopping with us for a while say out of the blue, why don't I have the subscription with you?
It's okay, you don't have to.
I think I should do that. I think I should sign up for these books. And I said, legitimately, we haven't ever pushed you on it.
No.
Because there are people that shop with us weekly who just want the joy of picking up books off of a shelf.
Yeah, I think having a subscription is valuable, but it shouldn't be a requirement.
Right. But if it's a thing you want, now if you are constantly asking for things that we sold out of,
If every month you come in and you're like, do you have the new Vampirella? And we're like, well, we only carry that for subscribers. Then you're going to either need to be a subscriber or stop asking for it.
I won't tell you who this person is, but if you get a Managed Comics email that say new subscribers have signed up, you will know right away when you see their name.
Okay.
So it's of just a fact that people that can be shopping with you forever can suddenly decide like, oh no, there is functionality that would make my life easier.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's all it's meant to do, is to make your life easier.
And I do. I think it's so convenient. And I think just the ability at any time of day, you could be sitting on the train, between stations on the
Swear to God, I thought
CTA,
you were going to say toilet.
and you can
Okay.
just pull out your phone and just be like, oh, was I signed up for Exceptional X-Men? And you can just go and find out right there. You don't have to call us. You don't have to text us. You don't have to email us. You don't have to come into the store. You don't have to wait until we're open. You can just get on your phone and find out, yes, I am signed up for Exceptional X-Men.
Or if you're not signed up for it, you could sign up for it. However, you'd miss issue 1 because it comes out next week.
That's true, but I don't think we've FOC'd issue 2 yet. But you could sign up, and then you'd be getting issue 2.
I wonder, it's a Marvel book. There's so many people that have added.
It's been really tricky. We've had a few people who are like, I signed up for this, but I think I'm getting issue 3. And it's like, yeah, because we closed orders on Wolverine Revenge #2 before issue 1 came out, or like the same week issue 1 came out. So if you bought it and it took you a couple days to read it, you've already missed the FOCs for issue 2.
And that's where too many times things are working against us with our publishing and distribution partners. One of the other things I had written down to complain about was a mainstay, a thing we mention a lot, is the way specifically Simon & Schuster, but also Penguin Random House, pack their books.
Oh my God, Simon & Schuster especially.
Now, look, it's free shipping, right? Like, we don't pay for shipping, but they pay, and they pay extra for how many times we have to, oh, yeah, you'd asked me if there were damages today, and I said, I guess not, but there definitely were, because I remember being the voice that said, yeah, no, that's messed up. Count that as a damage.
Okay.
It was mainly trades. It was several trades.
Okay. That sucks.
And I need
because
to...
it means we can't get replacements until the first of the month.
Yeah.
Which is a Sunday.
There was
but I'll
one...
report them on Sunday.
Okay, here we go. It was the most recent Spider-Punk series.
Okay.
Because they have this weird circular pattern in the background of the cover. And the pattern hides some of the damage on some of the copies.
Okay.
But one of them was way too egregious.
That sucks.
And then there was a different book that Molly thought was okay and that was passable, but then came back to later and said, no, look, it's all messed up inside.
That sucks.
So there were definitely a couple of books, but...
Just trades?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just trades.
That's not as bad.
But yeah, I do remember.
Okay.
But so what my point was, Simon Schuster has to pay to resend those books out.
Yeah. We got 2 Six Gun Omnibus Volume 1s in this week. Both of them were screwed up. Like, the corners on both of them were completely dented in. They were not going to sell off the shelf. And this is like the 3rd time we've ordered that book from Simon & Schuster and had to say, we cannot sell this. We need a credit. To the point where I had to tell them, like, we're just getting our own stuff from another vendor now. Like, you cannot pack these books correctly.
They don't even try.
Like,
they're
the only things that ever seem to come out semi-okay from them, and not all the time, but like the percentage of damages is lower, is manga stuff, because manga are like thicker and a little bit more resilient. But all the Boom and Oni stuff that we get from them, it's so frequently damaged because it's like thin, wider trades. So they just get folded up easier. They get dented in the corners more. But manga are these dense little bricks. Those they know how to pack because we're ordering 40 different Viz manga. So they just pile them up in little piles and they can't dent in each other. They can't move around that much. But like you ask them to pile on a few, something is kind of the children trades, and suddenly it's like these things are, folded up around a corner.
Wasn't there a manga that we got in this week that was virtually folded in half?
Spy Family 1, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, like we just flattened it out because it was resilient enough that while it was like it had bowed vertically. We were able to just you just put it between two other books, and it's like after a little while it's fine. But a couple different other boom books where the corners were just completely crushed on the spine. So you're looking right at it, you're like, I don't want to buy this.
Do you think that the Simon & Schuster boxes are a thinner material than the other
Yes.
distributors?
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, is it not true, Mr. Bush, that they do not use any flat cardboard on the bottom of the box to circumnavigate flap damage?
Correct. They don't use any cardboard on the top or bottom of the inner of the box. They just occasionally will put some packing material in the box.
But nowhere
near
near
the top.
enough to hold anything in place.
Nope. They certainly don't put enough of it to keep it in stasis. It's just a little bit, and then the boxes just get tossed around in a UPS truck.
Now, I will say that as far as distributors go, Ingram, the boxes we get from Ingram are the ones most prone to being split open on the corners.
Mm-hmm.
But they do this thing where they put your order on a thick piece of cardboard and then shrink wrap it to that cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
So it is basically one solid mass inside that box.
Yes.
So it's pretty difficult to damage multiple books.
Yeah, or at least to damage them to the level that they're unsellable. There might be little, nicks and cuts and bruising, but it's never really to the point where we're like, we can't sell this. But Simon & Schuster, I mean, it's literally every box.
Yeah.
If we get
Yeah.
a box that trades in from Simon & Schuster, at least one book in there is going to be unsellable. Penguin Random House, mixed bag. Sometimes it's a lot of books in a box. Sometimes it's like nothing.
What's weird to me is when it's a box of single issue comics and there's like 3 comics in the middle of a pile of 70 of the same copy of the same title and issue number, and those 4 are all dented in one corner, but nothing else is. Where did these 4 come from?
Yep.
How did they get dented when the things around them did not?
Crazy.
Like, they didn't drop it on a corner. One last thing I want to say about Ingram is they have the worst shortage damage reporting policies.
Oh man,
of
it's
everybody.
so hard.
It reminds me of buying mail order clothes when they include the photocopy sheet that is just the generic, if you need to return it, you need to fill out this form entirely with the item number, the product, the damage.
Yeah. Diamond and Lunar are the easiest to report to because they have online invoices that you can just go like these. Penguin Random House is a little bit more difficult because while they have online invoices, you can only report once per invoice. So if you get multiple shipments from the same invoice and you've already reported damages, you then have to send them an email saying, these are the extra damages. We would like replacements or credit. And then,
it's very common for you to get one invoice worth of books over multiple shipments.
And then Simon & Schuster is just a straight email, which luckily I can find a Simon & Schuster damage email pretty easily. And then I just change the pertinent information, the invoice number, the ISBNs for the new damaged books, the titles, the quantities.
Yeah, basically it's just like a cutting and pasting a cover letter.
Pretty much.
I do wish that PRH would they have a drop-down menu for what kind of damage, but they've never updated it for the comics industry.
Yeah.
So it's all like, is this audio damage?
Huh?
Is the dust jacket torn?
Jacket damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing about creased covers or spine wear.
I mean, I do bent corners a lot, and jacket
Yeah.
damage is like anything. If like the cover is damaged in a way other than just the corners being dinged, which is 99% of the time, then it's jacket damage.
I so badly want to report a book as audio damage, but I don't want it to get kicked back.
Yeah.
Just want to see what would happen, though.
I don't like how it sounds.
When I'm reading this book, it doesn't sound right. It just doesn't sound right. And it's mind-blowing or boggling, I couldn't decide which one I wanted to say,
Maybe both.
that Penguin Random House is the largest distributor for books in this country.
And
not just comics, books, mainly books.
we have talked to Penguin Random House employees and basically said, like, hey, why so many graphic novels that we get are damaged? Like, they're just packed badly. does the book market not care? And we were told, no, the book market doesn't care.
No.
So it's like, that's why it is the way it is. As opposed to Lunar and Diamond that have to pack things very differently because they're used to how the comic market deals with these things.
Darn us for having standards.
Yes.
So look, this episode as a whole,
Mhm.
while not an anniversary episode for the store,
Mhm.
and while it is episode 700, it wasn't like we started this podcast at a specific milestone point in the history of the store.
True.
We've been open for like 15 months,
Okay.
and we just said, what if we just did this? What if we just had a conversation and recorded it? We
How
didn't
hard
really
could
have the
it be?
technology. And it's evolved a lot over the years.
Mhm.
And we're fortunate now to have more listeners than ever before and patrons. We have a couple of new patrons. Some of their names are going to be right here. It's now time to thank our Patreon supporters, including our annual patrons, Usi Arun Singh, Becca Hilburn and Joseph Coco, Bren Helt, Dal's mom Diane Bush, President of the Brian Garside Fan Club, Django Borin, Philip Sablik, Jose and Genevieve Villagomez, Josh Crowley of Westfield Comics, our bestest wrestling watching pal, Michael Lee, Michael Romanenko, Severio the Cat, our patrons who have created their own tier, Andrew Drew Troit Aaliyah, Bridget K. Neville, Chris Burton, Claudine Neville, our other generous patrons from the Say My Name pledge level, Ben-Hur Benedict Calaguas, Brad Brooks, Manage Comics Own, Brian Garside, Christopher Haith of Crooked Dog Comics, Drew Triner and Ashley Edwards, my brother George Brower, Heidi D, Holly Aitchison, Jacob Sorelli of Kamikaze, Josh Trigg, Mark Hammond of Oh Yeah Comics, Margie, Keith, Logan, and Malcolm Springham, Matt Armstrong, Mitchell Davies of All-Star Comics in Melbourne, Australia, Morgan Kaiju Perry, Nicholas Fenner, my longtime pal Robert Burns, Ron Payne, Sean Bowers, Tad Eggleston and Johnny Williams, Thomas Nagovin of Century Guild, Walt Grogan, Walt's Comic Shop from Berlin, Germany. And if you want to hear your name thanked on this very podcast once a month, head over to patreon.com/challengers and pledge at the $5 Say My Name level. And a big thank you to all our other patrons at the various other pledge levels. But there's more patrons than just those. One of our newer patrons who did not get mentioned, Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Just got mentioned.
Sure, but not on the pre-recorded stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, it seems like she's getting something for nothing.
And Kelly Sue had been helpful to us when we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do for shelf sponsorship, stuff like that.
Nice.
So it's always encouraging when people whose work that we sell help us do our job better.
For sure.
And who also, are part of our community.
Mhm.
And that was evident this week as well for me when a bunch of creators reached out to offer me congratulations on 34 years.
Nice.
So it does often feel like everybody's trying to help everybody out. One of the best lines from a fellow retailer and patron, whose name was just mentioned, president of the Brian Garside Fan Club, Django Borin, he has a phrase that I would like to adapt where I'm going to paraphrase because I didn't memorize it. Oh, man, I have a whole other thing we didn't talk about yet.
I got a thing, too.
It's sitting right here. This is my wrap-up part.
I
but,
could tell.
Yeah. Django's point is there's a difference between a retailer problem and a publisher problem.
Mm-hmm.
He said it way better than I did, though.
Sure.
Hey, Dal, what's your thing?
So I want to give people who are listening to this podcast a taste of what it's like to have DC Comics as your retail partner. We are at Challengers big fans of the DC Compact Comics format.
Yes.
I think they're very, very cool. We have stocked them pretty heavily, and we will continue to stock them pretty heavily. We are doing great with them. We have them on our front counter. DC Comics has been really getting behind the format, which is great. They've been producing some commercials, which you can watch on YouTube and hopefully on other places. I don't know where.
I gotta tell you, I don't know how they make money on this stuff.
I guess it helps when you've had some of these books in print for like 30 plus years.
Sure.
You've probably, everything at this point is gravy for some of them. But they announced today through a couple different channels, not unified, that they're producing a Compact Comics display. It's a 6-pocket freestanding cardboard display with a custom sign advertising a couple of the titles as well as the $9.99 price point, which is pretty great. What the deal is you get a free display if you order 60 copies across 6 different eligible titles. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, that's great. It's 60 titles. There's 6 pockets. The display only holds 36 books. So you have to buy 60 books for a display that can only hold 36 of them. What, DC Comics, am I supposed to do with the other 24 books other than shove them up my own ass?
Well, you could turn them sideways and display them spine out on this rack.
This does not feel like it is terrifically well thought out. And again, it feels like a very DC way of doing things, where it's like, hi, we're going to offer you this thing that you want. Great. That can help you sell more books. Great. In a specific configuration that is either costing you more money or is needlessly confusing. Why not just have it be buy 36 books to fill the 36 pockets and we'll give you a free display? Why does it have to be some other number? It's like they might as well have said buy 38 books. I can only fit 36 in your stupid display. So reading that, again, it's almost everything I deal with DC is something where it's like 70% of a good idea, and then the last 30% is like, why are you shooting yourselves in the foot like this? Why are you making it harder for me to say, yes, I want to do this?
Well, Dal, you did say you could buy that separately.
For $110 net.
Yeah.
Which means you can buy a cardboard display for $110. It's not
or you get it free if you spend that much money.
It's not a distillery $50 cardboard counter display for your distillery books, which is insane. Is it 50 or is it 25? I could be wrong on that.
I thought it was 60.
I'd have to dig around in Diamond for it.
If it's not 60, it's 50.
Well, so the thing that's weird is there's like a retail price for it, but then your discounted price, but it's like it's a point of purchase display. Why does it have a retail price? So that's in my brain.
Or
I can't remember if I'm remembering the retail price or the cost.
You get it free as a retailer if you buy this other thing.
Well, I don't remember, like the stuff I was looking at on Diamond, because
Yeah.
Diamond's not pushing a distillery now. They did not mention anything about getting it for free. So if that's true, you have to do that through a rep or something.
Yeah. So if you recall, if you order a 5-pack of their branded first issue boxes to sell,
Then you get the counter
then you
display?
get a dump. Yeah.
Okay.
And their boxes are, I believe, retail $20 for basically a magazine box.
Which, I mean, a fully decorated, laminated maybe magazine box, I think is pretty
it's
good.
It's not terrible.
We're stocking them. I think people will want them.
I didn't think that you would really care that much about the DC Compact Comics dump because we already have the capability to do that exact thing.
Right. It's just,
We don't have anywhere for
I like
it.
the signage for it. I like, and some of it wasn't even for me specifically. It was just like,
One of the retailer questions was, can I just get the sign?
you're doing this for the retailer
cannot.
community,
You
and
cannot
yet
just get
you're
the sign.
making us order it in a quantity that the thing you're selling us cannot store. Like, why do we have to get 24 more books than the display can even store? That just feels needlessly antagonistic. So that's what's like dealing with DC Comics as a comics retailer in 2024.
It does look neat, though.
It does. I think it's cool.
we
And
were
again, I'm
doing-
glad they're doing it.
So we were doing a comparison today because in the photo that they showed of the 6 slots that are filled,
Mhm.
American Vampire was one of them.
Yep.
That's the only one that hasn't been released yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's other ones they've solicited.
No, in the photo.
Okay, sure.
Of the 6 that they showed, it's the only one that isn't available right now.
Right.
So I'm like, well, when does that one come out? Do we order it? I looked it up and it comes out in October.
Mhm.
And then I started to do a small comparison. Now, American Vampire, you get issues 1 through 11.
Okay.
And it's 320 some odd pages
Mhm.
for $10.
Mhm.
Image, who we've mentioned before,
Mhm.
is doing the same format
6x9.
for Invincible, for Saga. Saga, the first volume,
Mhm.
is $10.
Yep.
It's the first 6 issues,
Yep.
just like the normal $10 trade.
Correct.
And Saga Volume 2, New Edition, that's what they call it, New Edition,
Yeah.
not compact, New Edition. It is 168 pages for $15.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just Volume 2.
Yeah.
You're getting
7 through 12.
You're getting less. You're getting less than if you bought the trade because of the size difference.
Yeah.
And that's why we as a store are not carrying those, because it is not a value to you. It's just a different format for the same amount of money.
Yeah, we talked about it back when they first announced the Saga New Editions, mostly because we're also not carrying the Invincible ones, because it's not a huge savings, and it's just smaller. If this was Watchmen at basically the same price but smaller, I would not have carried it to begin with. It's like, what's the point?
Right.
The point of this is that it's a point of purchase display. It's that it's such a drastically reduced price point that it's attractive for people that would not normally want to buy a graphic novel because it's out of their price range. It's more than they would normally want to spend on something they consider more disposable. Obviously, there's better versions of all the compact comics available: full-size graphic novels, deluxe hardcovers, absolute editions. If you care about the art that much, if this is something you want to save and keep and have on your bookshelf and reread. But the compact comics aren't for that customer. They're for someone who's just like, oh, I'm getting on a plane. I just want something to read for 3 hours, and then I'm probably just going to like leave it in the hotel room. I'm not going to think about it again.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for them. But yeah, you could do the same thing with Saga volumes now at the exact same price point.
Okay, so let me ask you this. We're going to talk very briefly about being a subscriber at Challengers, which is what we'd already done.
Hmm.
So if you're a subscriber at Challengers,
Yep.
and you get, let's say, a handful of books on your list. Let's say you get 8 books a month.
Okay.
What do we request people do in order to buy those books? I phrase that horribly.
Yeah, I can't think of a way to answer that question.
Pay the money. No. Let's say, do you have to come in weekly?
No, we ask that you come in at least once a month to get your stuff.
What happens if you don't?
If you haven't come in 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how often we do notifications for delinquent subscribers, you will get a courtesy email saying, hey, your comic books miss you here at Challengers, that Patrick nicely wrote up. That's very pleasant and very clever. It's not trying to be combative. It's not trying to yell at anybody. It's just saying, hey, maybe it slipped your mind. Maybe you didn't realize because you're not reading the emails that we send you every week, letting you know that things come in, and you're not checking your Managed Comics portal to see what's waiting for you. But hey, here's an email letting you know that it's been a while. And one of the neat things that we're able to do now with Managed Comics that they instituted a few months back that I really love,
And I love this,
is that we can send out as an automated email to a variety of subscribers as we flag them off the list. And what they get at the bottom of the email, after Patrick's very nicely prepared, very kind notification that people should come in more often and get their stuff, is a list of exactly what's waiting for them. So there's no confusion over like, well, surely it can't be that much stuff. It's like, no, here's like the 4 issues of Batman that you haven't picked up, or here's the 25 comics over the last 3 months, and it's got the release dates too that you have not picked up. So again, there should be no confusion that when we're saying you haven't been in, here's the proof that you haven't been in a while.
But what if you can't get in right away? What if you're out of town? What if your wife just had a baby?
Well, as Patrick kindly mentions in the notification email that we send out, you're more than able to get a invoice sent out from us. Just shoot us an email, give us a phone call, let us know that you'd like an invoice sent out. It's very easy for us to push a couple buttons on Managed Comics and Shopify and get an invoice sent out that you can pay online. Once the invoice is paid, you can mark the items as local pickup, which means you don't pay for shipping. We just keep them aside wrapped up with a receipt that says you've paid for them. And as long as they're paid for, you can pick them up whenever you want. The only thing that we notify people about once a month is whether or not the books have been paid for. I don't care how long they really sit on hold. Obviously, we'd like people to pick stuff up eventually, but I mean, if they got to sit under a table or in the back or something because you paid for them and you're going to come in a couple months, that's fine.
Or if you don't want to wait those couple of months, but you can't get in, we'll ship them to you.
Yeah, we've gotten people that do that occasionally. They don't necessarily have a set schedule where they get stuff shipped out. We've got a lot of subscribers that do have a set schedule where they get stuff shipped out. But sometimes somebody's like, hey, I'm on vacation. I want my books. Can you ship them out to me? Sure, no problem. When you're checking out, you can choose either local pickup or shipping. And shipping is $6 flat rate or $9 to $9.50 expedited. I think we just call it expedited. And those are your options.
What if you want to support Challengers as a subscriber, but you don't live in Chicago?
Through Managed Comics, you are able to set your kind of subscription. The default is local pickup, which basically means you are going to come into Challengers at least once a month to buy the books that you're subscribed to. But you can also choose a frequency for shipping. You can choose either weekly, bi-weekly, which means every 2 weeks, or monthly shipping.
So we do mail order for subscriptions.
Yep. Every Tuesday night, once everything is in for the week, we take care of all of our mail order subscribers around as early as 2 or 3 in the afternoon, as late as like 6 o'clock at night. People will start getting invoices if they are on that week's shipping list. So again, weekly people get sent out every Tuesday night. Bi-weekly, twice monthly people get it every other week. Monthly people, there's a week of the month. Once it's been 4 weeks, basically, I consider monthly 4 weeks. So if it's been 4 weeks since things have been rolling in for you, you will then get an invoice at the end of that 4-week cycle.
What if you are a bi-weekly shipping person who hasn't paid for their previous order within 2 weeks?
So we don't have a set rule, but we basically try and make things reasonable for everybody. If I send out an invoice to someone on Tuesdays, if they haven't paid for it by Sunday, I might send out a second invoice saying, hey, it's been, we sent this out on Tuesday, please pay this. And then at that point, every few days, they will probably get another email reminder. And eventually, if it's been 2 or 3 weeks, they're probably going to get a notification saying, this is the final notice. We cannot have this invoice unpaid for a month. That doesn't work for us. And certainly if you're an every 2-week subscriber, if it's been 2 weeks, by the time you pay your invoice, I'm going to have to send you another one. And now we're in trouble because now you're getting 2 invoices in 1 week rather than 1 invoice every 2 weeks. And if it's been a month, now you're delinquent essentially. Like we have 2 weeks worth of stuff that should have gone out that hasn't gone out, and an additional 2 weeks beyond that. So you're like 2 invoices back now.
So we recently had a situation with a mail order subscriber who was continually behind on paying for their shipments. So much so that we had to decrease the frequency of when they would get billed because things would start to stack up.
Right.
And then they had a situation where they'd have a large box for the stuff because they got a decent number of books, not a huge number of books. But when you wait over the span of a couple of weeks, it builds up.
Yeah, if you get enough stuff, I mean, if you're getting 15 or 20 books a week, you get to the end of the month and it's 80 books, and that's not cheap. You're talking like at least a couple $100 there. And
we've had instances in the past where we've said, look, you've got to pay for these books or we're going to have to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would pay.
Right.
And then it got to a point where they didn't, and we had a box packed up that included a special ordered Absolute All-Star Superman hardcover, which, as you know,
2024 re-release
is oversized and hefty, and it needs its own large box. Mm-hmm. So they had a large box waiting.
That took time to pack up.
And everything was bagged and boarded. Mm-hmm. And waiting. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read your email.
Let's do it.
This is the email that was sent out.
This is the last email. There were other emails before that, but they were attached to invoices.
Numerous emails.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a massive box of stuff ready to go out for a month now, and we haven't gotten a response to any of the invoices we've sent. We'd be happy to work with you on your most recent shipment of subscription books, but we can't keep holding them indefinitely with zero communication. If the invoice isn't paid by the end of business today, 7 p.m., that was Wednesday.
I think I sent it at like 9 a.m. on Wednesday.
And we haven't heard anything from you about trying to find a solution that works better for you, we'll have to cancel your order and close your account. Now, this was such a nice, you were so nice in this. Because we're going to work with you. Like, there's no blame. There's no animosity.
Yeah, I don't want to make it combative. I don't want to make it a thing where it's easy for someone to be like, well, fine, screw you. Like, I want it to be like, look, I want you to get these books and I don't want you to have to not get books. Like, let's work this out. And this is the thing I talk about a lot when I'm talking with subscribers or delinquencies and stuff like that, is as long as there's communication, we can figure this out. Like, the times where we get burned are almost always because someone ghosts us. They stop coming in, they don't respond to emails, they don't respond to voicemails. Like, they just ignore us. And it's like, well, your stuff is definitely going to get put back out then, because you are giving me nothing. You are giving me no compromise here. There's no sense of you feeling like you want to get this stuff and working with me. And I will bend over backwards. Like, I will try and make that happen. There's a subscriber where I have to, and Patrick is not a fan of this. Every week I've got to put together $100 worth of stuff for them off of their invoice, their held orders, and send them an invoice for just that $100 so we can start getting back to where we need to be, because they were very, 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 very delinquent. But they are now getting to a point where they are not nearly as delinquent, and we are making progress each week. And I'm happy to do that because I know they love comics. I know they have supported the store. I know that I don't want to be out hundreds of dollars worth of products by cutting them off that they've already had ordered and have arrived for them, and do nothing for me if I just put them on the shelf. So let's work this out.
This is someone that I had pitched the pull and hold service to, and they got very excited for it. And when the whole exchange was over, I had said, and I believe I said to you, they're going to be a problem.
Sometimes you can tell right from the start.
I feel a lot of times that people may be embarrassed by their financial situation. If things get tight for them and they can't afford their comics, they don't want to say, I can't afford my comics.
Sure.
But honestly, there's no judgment from us.
No.
And we are actually happy that you let us know.
Yeah. Especially because we are ordering 3 to 4 weeks out. So, like, if you wait a month to tell us, like, not only did we get all this stuff in for you, there's another month's worth of stuff that's probably coming in that you cannot get.
But we're like, if you think we're going to judge you for not being able to afford your books, we judge you more when we think it's you just blowing us off or not caring. Or if you wait 3 months until it's a huge problem and then you can't buy anything, then we're judging you for having wasted our time.
Right.
And for making us resent you in this time period because you haven't tried to work anything out.
Yeah.
The people that come to us right away and say, hey, I've got this going on or whatever, great, fine, thank you. No judgment. We feel better about the relationship that they told us.
And it's transparency. Like, we've had people come to us and say, like, look, I know I'm behind on stuff. I've been out of work. I have a new job coming up in, like, the job is starting, but I'm not going to get paid for a couple weeks. Like, as long as there's communication and we have some sort of timeline where this is all going to get resolved, the length of the timeline is not as important. As long as it's like, we are working towards this. Okay, this is when it's going to happen. And as long as those points on the timeline are getting hit, we're all good. Like, we will work with you.
I've lost my job. I can't afford my comics anymore. Can you please cancel my subscription? And then a month later, hey, I'm back. Let's go.
Yeah. Which is totally fine.
Great.
Yeah, that's someone I'll gladly start. Like, even if there's stuff on hold, if you're like, I am out of work, I just lost my job, I cannot pay for this stuff. It's like, I don't want you to have to worry about this as a human being. Like, your comic books at this point are the least important thing in your life. I will put those back out. Right. It's not a big deal. And then that person is more than welcome in a few months when their situation has gotten back on track to come back and go, hey, can I sign back up? Yes, absolutely. The people who burn us, when they come back in a few months, and I had someone recently, we had somebody who tried to sign back up again. And we had to go, no, you stuck us with hundreds of dollars worth of stuff. Yeah, I lost my job. Like, okay, but you never told us that. You just ghosted us and came back like 7 months later like this never happened.
Yeah.
Like, no, you cannot. And this is maybe jumping ahead a little bit, but the thing I want to maybe stress to people is that it's called a subscription service. It is a service we offer. It's not an obligation that we have to let people pre-order things no matter what. We can decide, like, no, I do not want to extend you what's essentially credit and let you pre-order this stuff because you have burned me before. In the same way that if you have a credit card with a credit card company and you don't pay the bill and they have to take you to collections and they maybe never recoup that money, they are not obligated to let you go for another credit card account a couple years later. They can say no because you burned us for all this money. which is what happens when people don't come pick up their books.
And then don't try to sign up under a different email address
Uh-huh.
for the exact same books with the same name.
And then act like you can't understand why this is happening. There
Even though
must,
you've
there
been-
must be some sort of computer error. No, the error was
Uh,
you thinking that you could do this again.
We've legitimately had that happen twice in 2 weeks
Mhm.
with 2 different people.
Yep.
But anyway, to get back to this particular situation, and this is a mail order customer who we don't know, and I don't think, have we ever met?
I don't recall.
Never met in person. We've got several mail order people who have been shopping with us who we didn't know. They maybe decided to be subscribers because of this podcast.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have eventually visited the store,
Yeah,
which is great.
very fun to put faces to names.
Like some of our mail order people are the most interactive and up to date with their pulls lists
You have to be.
that we have. Yeah, you can't just ask us at the register to
Nope.
sign you up for things. So this other person that I just read Dow's email to is somebody that we frequently had problems with and had been worried about having to cut him off before.
Mhm.
This was
But always
the-
dodge the bullet. Like, there have
Yeah.
been multiple times where it's like, hey man, this is the final notice. You got until X day to pay this, or we're closing the account. And they, right before X day, they'd be like, yep, pay that. Okay, great. This goes out. We're done. And then we're working on the next shipment.
So this was you have until 7 p.m. or scorched earth.
Right.
Put everything back.
Mm-hmm.
6:54 p.m.
6:54 p.m.
Could we get an email?
Could not believe it.
And part of me wanted to edit this to make them sound worse. I won't. Apologies for not getting back to you. I've been really busy and struggling to keep up with my subscriptions. The best would be to close my account and reshelf my items. I apologize for any inconvenience.
Mhm.
I did try to read that, showing there were no periods for sentences and things were spelled wrong. But anyway,
6:54 p.m.
I've been really busy
Uh-huh.
is never an excuse.
Nope.
It's never an excuse.
People use that a lot for their subscriptions. They'll just be like, oh, I've been really slammed. I haven't been able to get in. And again, first of all, I want to say, like, you don't have to come in. We offer you in
Right.
every email
Right.
the option of getting an online invoice, and then you can pay it wherever. But the other thing I always want to bring up is, like, cool. Do you get to say that to your, like, utility company? Your
Your landlord?
your car payment?
I'm
I've
busy.
been really slammed. I haven't been able to pay my bills. No, you find the time.
And struggling to keep up with my subscriptions makes it sound like I'm just not reading comics anymore.
Right. Which,
not the financial aspect of
Again,
your subscriptions.
you can always just tell us to end your subscriptions before that. When you've bought them all, just be like, hey, the last shipment I got, I want to close my account. It's like, okay, cool. Well, there's like a few books still coming in, but we'll just cancel everything now, and then those come in, and then you just get those, and you're out. Like, you can end, and people have done this so many times over the last 16 years because they move away, they're not reading comics, whatever. You can close your account in a way that is not burning us for hundreds of dollars of product.
Yeah.
There's another option.
The best would be to close my account and reshelf my items.
Best for whom?
Best for whom?
Best for whom?
Not best for us.
No. Best for you, because it's 6:54 p.m., 6 minutes before the deadline that we'd set, where you're like, nah, okay.
So
At that point, why even write back? Like, what?
yeah,
What?
it was
Okay.
good. It was going to happen in
Okay.
6 minutes anyway. Obviously, not a single book they had on hold was needed for anybody
It
else.
never is, Patrick.
Obviously, all those books literally had to be unbagged and boarded.
Yep.
And put back on the shelf.
Yep. Although, once again, it's very nice that Managed Comics gives us the option now of very easily,
Now, yeah.
like, it used to be when we would close somebody's account, like if it was an online invoice, all of those were subscription items, not active items. So we would basically have to then, by hand, up the inventories of everything that was coming out of that order that needs to go on the shelf. And then their customer order, their held books, were the same thing because they were not the same as active items. Now, we just delete the invoice. All of that stuff goes into active inventory. They all go on the shelf. We're ready to go. The books that are being held that we hadn't invoiced them for yet, they weren't paying for now, we just hit a single button that says delete and restock, and it takes all those books and it makes them active inventory, and we just put them on the shelf. It's
so
all
great.
done. It's so great.
It's so great.
It's so fast.
I get so much more use out of that.
Another thing I want to mention that I don't think I mentioned about that I think is super cool that people can do with their subscription stuff is that because everything we have in the store is available on our website for purchase, and new books go on sale on the website Thursdays at noon Central Time. If you can't get in until, like, let's say Saturday, and you realize you forgot to subscribe to something like Aliens vs. Avengers #1, you can go on our website, if you're a subscriber, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday, buy Aliens vs. Avengers for local pickup, which means you're not paying for shipping, you're just paying the cover price. And if you're a subscriber and you choose local pickup, we just put it aside with your subscriptions. So when you come in, we're going to hand you, hey, here's a stack of stuff that you haven't bought yet, and then here's the thing you already did buy. Like, mail order people can do the same thing. So if you're getting your stuff shipped out once a month, you can just decide, hey, they were talking about that Compact Comics. I want that $10 Watchmen. And you can go on our website, buy it,
and select local pickup.
Select local pickup, even though you're a shipping customer, and then it just goes with your subscription stuff until it's time on your cadence of shipments to get that shipped out. And then we just take the local thing and we put it in with the stuff we got to bill you for. We bill you for the subscription stuff. We package in the individual purchase, and it all goes out in the same box. You pay shipping just one time for the whole thing. I think that's so cool. Do you know how many times I wish I could do that with some of the places that I order from online that I'm like,
Sure.
It would be like, you can do that sometimes. Like AmiAmi has a thing where you can say, and I've used this a bunch of times in the past, where I get a pre-order in and then I'm like, oh, let me get a used figure as well. And I'll just say ship it out at the end of the month with this pre-order. And that's so cool.
What Ringside Collectibles does is when you place an order, regardless if it's a pre-order or already in stock stuff, they count the whole order as one, so it doesn't get shipped out until everything is available.
Right.
So if you order 4 figures that are coming out in the future and 1 figure they have now, you get it all at once to save you on shipping. Sure, you don't get your figure, the current figure for a while, but
you have the option of choosing it a different way if you want everything as soon as you get it. I think a Hasbro Pulse does that I think is psychotic, is that I don't think they do it as much anymore, but there's a period where they were shipping, if you ordered 4 figures in a wave of Transformers figures, they would ship each figure out in its own identical box. Instead of putting all 4 figures in one box,
that's weird.
You would just get 4 boxes at the same time,
That's
shipping
weird.
out from the same place. Nowadays, I think they just put everything in one box.
Look, what it boils down to is this. If you're listening to this podcast, you're obviously highly intelligent, have excellent taste.
Devastatingly attractive.
You already know what's good about comic shops. And the majority of things we've talked about today don't concern you. You are probably not the cause of any of these issues.
True.
So
I hope. I don't
thank
know.
you for all that. If there's one last thing I could ask of in-store subscribers, people that literally come pick up their books in the store, browse the new release wall, please stop swapping covers.
Please stop it.
You can pre-order the covers you want. Please don't come up with the writer and say, can I get this cover instead? Because it's a bunch of work. Less work now, thanks to the upgrades in Managed Comics. But please don't do that. But otherwise, you're the best. I assume you've all listened to all 700 episodes of this. So, for the 700th time, thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.